Right. So don't be afraid of the no. This entire training is focused on the discovery part of the sales call, especially in the high ticket space, right? Whether you're doing a one call close or a two call close, whatever it is, nailing down discovery, asking the right and hard and tough questions, not being afraid. Everything we covered today will help you boost your close rate by a minimum of like 20 to 30%. So, first, let's talk about why is discovery so important, right? Hands down, the most important part of any sales process or sales conversation is the discovery. You get this right, the closes will follow. Now, there's no one way of running a sales call or a sales meeting. In some scenarios, the call can be cut short, can be short and direct, and others, depending on the level of friction and filters the lead has gone through prior to talking to the closer. The call might be 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, but doing a proper discovery will skyrocket your chances of finding out the true reason why the prospect is there, what specifically they're actually looking for, if and how you can actually help them, eliminate some of the objections rather than waiting until end of the fucking call to do objection handling or fucking battling the prospect. And again, like I said, make objection handling easier at the end. So there's three main components we need to find out in the discovery phase: current situation, desired situation, and the fucking gap between one and two. That's it. I see so many people making it more complex than it actually needs to be, right? Your focus should be on finding three main points, not going through some 7 or 8 phase fucking script. Find these three things in your discovery, and your prospect will more or less tell you how to sell them. If you can master this process alone and fuck up everything else, you'd still be ahead of most salespeople and closers within your niche. Now, during discovery, if done properly, you can also eliminate almost all objections. So you don't have to sit and battle your prospects for 30 fucking minutes at the end of the sales call trying to hard close them. I'm a big believer in preventing objections than eliminating. Now, caveat to this is sales. You are still going to get objections, even if you've done your best to eliminate them. But again, our goal is to eliminate 80-90% of them and try to just handle logistical stuff at the end. And we do this in three ways during discovery. Why this, why us, why now, right? So first, let's talk about the elephant. Almost every sales call, and I'm going to get into the three whys as well of the discovery, but the elephant is basically almost every sales call out review, right? Before we make the reps or closers better, the closers are trying to follow a script and they get confused when the prospect gives them an answer that isn't anticipated on that script, right? Your prospects have no idea what you're selling or whether you have a script or what fucking phase of the script you're going to next. They don't know. It's just, to them, it's just a conversation. You have to remember that. And nothing I see in some scenarios, there's too many options on the script, right? Leaving closers almost overwhelmed in the heat of the moment, right? When they're on the sales call. And instead, I want you to treat this like a framework, not a script. Stop moving forward with the sales call if you don't understand something the prospect just told you. For example, if I ask you a question, you give me an answer. There's no reason I should move forward in our conversation. If we're just having a regular everyday conversation, there's no point of me moving forward in that conversation if I don't even fucking understand what you just told me. If I don't understand your answer to my question, what the fuck am I moving forward? I'm gonna ask you again, or I'm gonna ask you a different way, or I'm gonna ask you, what do you mean? I'm not gonna move forward. Call out the elephant in the room. All right. Stop hiding and being afraid of that no, or if you're sensing that the prospect has an objection to something you said or something you know they will bring up, call that out upfront in the discovery process. If their conversation is like, just so you know, not looking to make a decision today, this is our budget, blah, blah, blah. Tackle that right there and then. Why are you waiting until the end of it just so they can see the value? It doesn't make sense most of the time, man. It's like, I don't care how much value you show for a Rolls Royce. If you have someone in front of you that can only afford payments on a Toyota Corolla, you're not going to sell them the fucking Rolls Royce. So tackle it. And the three whys is why this, why us, why now. Why this is basically you're trying to have the prospect tell you why this is a good idea. What makes you feel like this will get you the results you're looking for rather than just doing it yourself or XYZ competitor? We're almost pushing them away, right? We're leaning out. Next is why us. Why they feel like we're the right company, right? What makes you feel like we're the right company for you to be working with instead of, again, lean out, XYZ competitor. And then why now? This is to create urgency. We need the prospect to tell us these three whys. And the why now is why they feel like now is a good time to do this rather than wait another 6 months. If you've got a qualified prospect in front of you, they will give you justifications to all the three quote unquote outs you just gave them, right? As the prospects close these doors, they cannot reopen them at the end of the call in the form of an objection. That is why it's very important for them to close it. You can't close it. You can't give them the answers to why this, why us, why now. They have to tell you. If you did your discovery part properly, you already know how long they've been dealing with the pain or the problem that they have. And the best approach to handling objections is to just get everything out on the table during the discovery phase so you can tackle those concerns ahead of time. Next is to dig deeper. As you dig deeper, do not be afraid to dig deeper than you have already dug, right? It's like think of it like an onion. Take a layer off, there's a bunch more. Keep fucking peeling. Too many sales reps and closers feel uncomfortable asking hard questions, but this is where the gold is. You have to get the prospect in a state of being uncomfortable, as that's the state they'll actually be able and willing to make a change. If you just want to make sure the prospect just, some sales reps are afraid, oh, what if they leave? What if the prospect leaves and hangs up on you? Then they weren't going to fucking spend 10 G's with you anyways. All right, move on. And one of the many reasons why some have such a low close rate is because they're not going deep enough into discovery. And the last but not least is looking for the no. Most salespeople get focused on building a quote unquote yes ladder so they can have their prospects say yes. Now, there's a mindset I see the majority of salespeople have when going into their sales calls, expecting a yes, which is mind fucking boggling to me. So you're telling me you're going to talk to a total stranger you've never met before for the first time in your life and the first time in their life, and expect that by the end of that 45 to 60-minute conversation, they should be obliged to give you $5 to $10 to $20,000 because you followed your fucking script. Get the fuck out of here. The correct mindset as a salesperson is to expect a no. That's when our fucking job starts. We'd be useless otherwise. All right. Going through a script and you had a lay down in front of you the whole time doesn't make you a closer or a sales rep. You're an order taker. You know those people that stand at the front of the restaurant, you tell them, hey, I need a table for two. That's what you are. All right. So on the contrary, if you look for reasons as to why your prospect should not purchase, it will ultimately lead them to buy. We have to close all the doors. Always push back and give them ways out of buying and create some internal pressure, right? Look at your sales call process almost like a hotel corridor, and your job is to walk your prospect from one end to the other. You continue opening the doors on both sides, right? Your goal is to just open the doors, but the prospect has to close them. It's non-negotiable. Once they close the doors, they can't open them at the end of the call. So hopefully you got some sauce out of this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.